Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over how to get max level super fast in Diablo 3 for Season 22. Because in Season 22, things are a lot different with the new method of leveling called the Shadow Clone leveling. So anyways, we're going to be taking advantage of the new bonus special effect from the pylons and shrines, granting us a Shadow Clone that will basically one-shot everything for us throughout the entire journey to max level, which is 70. And it's a very fast way to go ahead and level up. You can do this in maybe 40 minutes if you're relatively fast, but about an hour is going to be the average time it will take for most players to go ahead and reach max level. Now, what you're going to be trying to focus in on is basically selecting these little areas that have a higher chance to spawn in a pylon and shrine, and that way you can just go ahead and just zoom through the content. It's almost like getting power leveled by someone else. Well, you can go ahead and do this completely solo. You can do it with friends as well, but it is a very, very fast way to go ahead and do it. So anyways, the first step of this is to go ahead and actually complete the challenge rift. Now, I already have a video guide on how to complete the challenge rift down below in the pinned comment as well as the description box. I'll have a bunch of these different links for you guys for extra resources, but you're going to go ahead and do the challenge rift. This is normal with any season in Diablo. The first thing that you got to do is go ahead and create, of course, a seasonal character, and then go ahead and do the challenge rift. Now, I'll have the one for this week's video guide, but keep in mind these will change as the weeks go on. So if you're watching this maybe like a week or two later, the challenge rift might be a little different, but you do have to go ahead and complete the challenge rift. That's going to give you a huge start for your materials and your blood shards. Now, normally after you go ahead and complete the challenge rift, the next thing that you usually do is you go ahead and get the Kanai's cube, then you go ahead and Hope of Cain and craft yourself a legendary weapon that will have a multiplier, and then you go ahead and cube it. Well, this season is actually different. You don't have to do that. In fact, it's not even really necessary to do that at all, unless you want to go ahead and do something very specific that might be conditional to a class for survivability. But pretty much what you're actually going to go ahead and do, instead of going and crafting a weapon and then also crafting a level 70 weapon, then trying to re-roll with the lower level requirement, this season you don't need to do that at all. The next step after you go ahead and do the challenge rift is actually going to be to go ahead and make a Torment 6 game. Then go ahead and use those blood shards and hopefully RNG yourself a LEORIC'S crown, or any legendary really at the end of the day is what you need, because the clone's damage will actually scale even higher with not only your own sheet damage, but the amount of legendaries that you have equipped. So don't worry too much about what the heck the legendary does, just equip legendaries. That's because they scale and are much more powerful. Now, the most important thing with this Season 22 leveling guide with the Shadow Clones is actually knowing certain areas to go ahead and actually go to. Alright, so let's go ahead and show off all of the areas, starting off with Act 1. Now make sure you guys are on Torment 6, obviously right now we're way past that, but make sure that you are on the highest difficulty that you can go in at the start, which is going to be Torment 6. So Act 1, you're going to actually have 3 different areas. That is going to be the Cemetery of the Forsaken, LEORIC'S Manor Courtyard, and the Southern Highlands. And in the description box and the pinned comment, I'll also link this Google Docs that is actually going to show you guys kind of exactly where the heck to go on each one of these, because there are multiple pylons that can spawn in different areas. But in specifically the Southern Highlands, there's only one that will spawn in, and it's like as soon as you go on the waypoint, you're just going to go down a little bit. And let me go ahead and show you what that visually would go ahead and look like. Now keep in mind, you know, as you do these, it might not spawn in 100% of the time. It's just all RNG. But the thing is that there is a very high chance that it will spawn in. And look, it spawned in. So all you would do with the Southern Highlands is you click on this one, and then you're going to go ahead and move over here to the left, and then you'll have a decent amount of density. And the next one is actually going to be in the LEORIC'S Manor, so we're going to go ahead and go right over here. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. Like that one only has one pylon that will spawn in. It's always in that location if it's there. Now in the LEORIC'S Manor's Courtyard over here, I'm going to go ahead and put this over here up on the screen so you guys can see it. Now keep in mind that it's all RNG, but this area does happen to have multiple, and if an area spawns in, like let's say a health pool or one of those experience pools, those could also technically be where pylons would spawn. But in this area specifically, we want to check all of the corners. So we'll go ahead and check the left, We'll go ahead and also check the right, and this is where a shrine or a pylon could be, and this is where another one could be. Again, it's all random if you're going to get one or not, so we'll go ahead and just check all of them over here, and we'll see if it spawns in. If it doesn't spawn in, just go ahead and warp back, and you will be reloading games multiple times if you go to all the areas and it is not there. The next one though is in Cemetery of the Forsaken, and all you're going to do is go ahead and go right down over here, and it would be right here if it does spawn. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and do this all in one take over here, but if it doesn't spawn in, it's no big deal. The next one up is actually going to be a very long path over here in Act 2. So in Act 2, it's going to be in the Howling Plateau, and this one I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a visual representation of kind of the path of it, because you will start over here on the waypoint at the bottom, and you're going to go all the way up. You can see there's another shrine over here, and there's another shrine over here. Again, they're random if they spawn in, but this one is a little bit longer in the entirety of the path. And I would say overall, I really recommend the Act 1s and the Act 2s that I showed off over here. There are more in the entire, like if I show you guys the Google Docs, there are a few more. Like over here we have a shrine. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pick this one up just so we can go ahead and show you guys the path. This one's going to be a little bit longer. And try to stick on the path, as the path will generally eventually lead you to a bunch of other shrines. So we'll go ahead and just continue on over here. The most important thing is if you die, don't be afraid to reset. I would probably, if I died, just reset and went to another area. But if you happen to, obviously not die, you can go ahead and continue and go all the way across and make it to the Black Canyon Bridge. And there's another very high chance that this pylon will be spawning right here. And then you can take this one, and look, we got two shrines right next to each other over here. So this area can be okay too. Like, you can do the Black Canyon mines as long as you already have gotten a shadow clone. Just continue on, and remember, you can get more than one shadow clone. You can get now we have, well, one of them is going to expire pretty soon, but we'll have 3 shadow clones, and now we would be melting things very, very fast. But that's going to go ahead and cover it for the ones that I would recommend in Act 2. Again, I'm just going to show you guys the ones that I think are the hands down best. So Act 1 and 2, thumbs up for those two. However, Act 3 can get a little bit dicey, as there are more monsters that can be more deadly as you progress in the acts in the game. So in Act 3, these are the ones that are recommended. However, again, they're a little bit more difficult, I would say, because the density isn't that great. But the Tower of the Damned and Tower of the Cursed, both level 1, I'll go ahead and warp into it so you guys can kind of get maybe an idea. And you can see there is a shrine right there at the start. So it's nice to have those ones where it's ASAP, especially if you're playing on hardcore, because you don't want to venture too far off and just get one-shotted before your cloning is even able to spawn in. The next area is basically the same. It's Tower of the Damned, level 1. And you can go ahead and just kind of move around a little bit. Any area where there would be, let's say, again, a healing well over here, like this one has a healing well, or the experience globe, that's exactly the location where a shrine could be as well. Now in Act 4, there's only really one that I would recommend even attempting. However, the density is just really not there. So we have the lower realm of the Cursed Fate over here, and then there's the Infernal Fate. So over here you can go downward if you want to, and sometimes there can be one. Again, I don't recommend usually this one or any of the ones in Act 4, really, I think are just not ideal. But this one over here has a very high chance to have a pylon as well. However, this one's density is not what I would consider ideal. There's these two little pockets over here, and then you can go upwards. But I think overall, I would just stick with Act 1 and 2. But I wanted to give you guys the resources. Maybe your luck is going to be better than mine in terms of density and whatnot. But that's the most important thing with these shrines leveling, is knowing those exact locations where the heck they would actually spawn in. Alright, so some bonus tips and info on the shadow clones. So the shadow clones won't move up and down different floors. If you do happen to die, your clone will also go away. Make sure when you guys are leveling up, use the skills that would grant you, let's say, a pet or mobility or any passives that would help you survive, as you're pretty much just going to go ahead and equip as many legendaries as possible, because that's how you're going to be scaling the damage of your clone really easily in the very beginning. So try to get as much defense as possible, as the clone does enough DPS. And since the shrines will be lasting 2 minutes and the shadow clones only last 1 minute, the best way to go ahead and give yourself a good timer without sitting there with an actual timer is actually to go ahead and just check the little bar. Once the little thing rotates halfway, that is when the clone will actually go away. And if you do play on hardcore, don't venture too far off from the waypoint to go look for a shrine, because you'll just get one-shotted. But I'm sure there are players that will be leveling up with this on hardcore, so just be a little careful, as I shouldn't need to tell you if you're playing hardcore anyways. But I also want to give a huge shout out to Basehead, because he's the one that made the Google Docs, but I really recommend just to stick with the Act 1 and 2 ones that I showed you in the video, as the other ones, they're kind of more dangerous, and they also don't happen to have the density that I think is very good. But if you are starting off this season and you're wondering, what class should you go ahead and actually play, we just dropped a video on going over all the best builds for every single class this season, so maybe that will be a good video for you guys as well. And all the things will be pinned down below, as well as with the challenge rift guide for this week, which is a whirlwind barb. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, drop a like on it. And if you are new here and want to see more gaming content, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon, because there's going to be so many cool new builds because of that 4th Kanai's Cube slot this season. But anyways, take care, guys. Best of luck to you on Season 22. Hope you get a Primal Ancient in the next drop, and I'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.